I will be in New York City on Wednesday for the March of Dimes Sports Luncheon, which is a highlight of the holiday season. They will be honoring Steve Phelps, Katie Ledecky, and Jason Kelsey. I'll then be in Washington, D.C. on Thursday to shoot episodes of SBJ's Inside the Industry. On Saturday, I plan to be at the ACC football title game. And then let me know if you'll be in Las Vegas the following week for the National Football Foundation dinner or SBJ's Intercollegiate Athletics Forum presented by Learfield. A lot of stops along the way. It would be great to see you and say hello. And this is your morning Buzzcast for Tuesday, December 2nd. I'm Abe Madkour. College football heading to Brazil. NC State and Virginia are slated to face off next August 2026 at Nilton Santos Stadium in Rio de Janeiro. The game will be broadcast on an ESPN network and will be the first college football game played in South America. It's been branded as College Football Brazil, and it's being put on through a partnership between Athlete Advantage and Brazil Sports Business. They want to bring U.S.-based sports events to that country. And this is a big move for the ACC and the schools. And the game will be played at a facility that holds nearly 45,000 fans. Local government was heavily involved in the organization of this event. And remember, Rio has a history with big sports events. They know a thing or two about producing big events. Remember, they hosted the Olympics in 2016, and so they are ready for more U.S. football. Of course, the NFL's played there, now college football going there, the ACC, a first mover, NC State, Virginia, August 29th in Rio. Let's move on. Expect to see more and more of Nationwide around the NFL. Yes, the company renewed its NFL League sponsorship. They have held NFL rights since 2014. They last renewed their deal in 2023. Now, Nationwide has been a big believer and supporter of the NFL. They have a sponsorship with 16 NFL teams, and of course, they have an endorsement deal with Peyton Manning, ads with Peyton and Nationwide, quite visible throughout NFL broadcast. But here is what I like about this relationship. The sponsorship that Nationwide has centers around the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award. Nationwide is the presenting sponsor of that award, and I will say that honor is one of the most underrated awards in all of sports, because the individuals who are put up for that and the individual who ultimately wins that honor, they are something special. Their stories that I have heard, I have seen it presented at Super Bowl week, is really amazing in terms of the quality and the caliber of these individuals. So it's smart for Nationwide to attach its brand to the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. And something new with this extension with Nationwide and the NFL will be an hour-long supporting TV show produced by NFL Films that will air on ESPN on Christmas Eve. So Nationwide developing some content around its sponsorship of the NFL. News from the soccer world is that Atlanta United president Garth Lagerway, one of the good guys in sports, will not return to the club as he continues to battle cancer. Now, Lagerway took 2 leaves of absence earlier this year for a cancer-related issue. Now, his job will be turned into a role that will oversee Atlanta United and the new NWSL franchise that Arthur Blank recently acquired that is scheduled to start in 2028. So it looks like they're going to consolidate potentially some roles in Arthur Blank's soccer operation. Now, Garth Lagerway was hired by Atlanta United in November of 2022. It was a big hire. He came with quite the background. At Real Salt Lake and in Seattle, he won 3 MLS Cups. And while he didn't see that success in Atlanta, he was successful in reorganizing Atlanta United's franchise and expanding its training facility. No news yet on more details of the search process, and certainly Our best wishes go out to Garth Lagerway in his battle with cancer. Like I said, one of the good guys in sports and a great history in soccer. In one of my favorite stories of Monday, a story we love to see, SBJ's Austin Karp reported that ESPN and TNT Sports are collaborating to bring Dick Vitale and Charles Barkley together on air for the first time, as they will be analysts for a regular season college basketball matchup, and then again during the early part of the NCAA's men's basketball tournament. This will mark, hard to believe, but it will be the first time Dickie V will be calling March Madness. So Barkley and Vitale will do a game, Indiana, Kentucky, good game, on ESPN on December 13th in prime time. And then they will be analysts during a first four game from Dayton on True TV. And this will also mark the debut of Charles Barkley as a game analyst during March Madness. And like I said, yes, it is hard to believe that Dickie V has never done a March Madness game, and he did so out of loyalty to ESPN. They didn't have the rights, and he did not want to be disloyal to ESPN. But he always wanted to do a game, and the push to get this done came from Vitale and Barkley themselves. That's according to Austin Karp, and ESPN and TNT Sports were able to work out the details, but this will be fun to see. While we're on basketball, I do not want to overlook this nugget. While a lot of the conversation has been around gambling and load management, the NBA is quietly off to a very good start on the business side. Bloomberg News reported that viewership on Amazon Prime, ESPN, and NBC is up 30% over last year. Merchandise sales throughout the league are up 20%, and arenas are playing right now, 1 month in, to 97% capacity. So those metrics will continue to watch, but early signs, the NBA off to a very good start this season. You know, one of the more interesting stories in Major League Baseball is around the St. Louis Cardinals. We all know what a great baseball town St. Louis is, but the team has struggled on and off the field over the past few years. And now a report comes out that the Cardinals will actually be receiving revenue sharing for the first time following a full season in at least 25 years, or maybe since the beginning of the current revenue sharing program that began back in 1996. Now, while the Cardinals will not receive a lot in the overall payout, the fact that they are a revenue sharing receiver will open up a lot of eyes across the industry, as this was one of the strongest solid revenue clubs for years in baseball. They would generally pay into the system, not receive money. But this shows how the Cardinals have struggled. Ticket sales have really decreased in St. Louis. For instance, last year they went 7th overall in average ticket sales per game to 19th. Overall tickets dropped nearly 22%, and they're down 31% in ticket sales since 2023. So that's a big drop in just 2 years. And that really factors in to decreased revenue, which eventually means there'll be a revenue sharing receiver and not payer. So yes, again, this is just rare for the Cardinals. Yes, it's a smaller market, but for years, ticket sales, media revenue, sponsorship were all very strong. All three line items in St. Louis have taken a hit. And so there's a lot of work for the Cardinals, really one of the marquee franchises in baseball, to turn this all around. And this is a story so many people in baseball are watching. So my takeaways from today's Buzzcast are: number one, globalization of U.S. sports continues. Very interesting move by the ACC to take 2 of its schools to play a game in Brazil next year, the first college football game in South America. Number 2, it'll be fun hearing Charles Barkley and Dickie V call college games together, and it gives Vitale the well-earned chance to call a March Madness game. Number 3, One of the top team stories in Major League Baseball to watch is in St. Louis, a traditionally very strong baseball market that has now seen the Cardinals' business slow and struggle for market share over the past few years. And finally, keep your eye on the NBA's business metrics. A month into the season, the numbers across the board for the NBA are very healthy. And that is your morning Buzzcast for Tuesday, December 2nd. I'm Abe Madkour. My colleagues will bring you the Buzzcast the rest of this week. Hope to see you somewhere down the road. Stay healthy, be good to each other. Have a great rest of the week.